Hello, beloved ones of God. I'm here today with Simona. I came to know her through her parents. I had known her for a very long time. Whenever I used to see her, I don't know, I always felt so fondly. Whenever I looked at you, I always found myself in you. I don't know why. I felt a lot of similarities, even though I didn't know your entire stories. But I'm acquainted with your parents and I have seen their life and I have seen what they do, and I'm always in awe of your mom's work, of your dad's work, and they're such amazing people, such an inspiration. So I'm always fond of them, and more than anything, more than the work, and more than all those, all those titles and all their hearts. I'm really drawn to their hearts, and every time they humble me. Every time I look at them, I just watch them. They truly humble my heart, and it's been such a joy and privilege to hear you and to. Well, the first time when you just casually stating your story, I was so drawn to you, and I felt it should come, on the journey stuff. And so, thank you for choosing to be here and choosing to do this with me, and thank you for coming over to share your story with us.
Oh, thank you so much, Amaimaka. I feel so honored to be here, I'm really thankful. I don't know what the Lord wants to do through my story, but I know that I'm here for a reason, so I'm excited to see what the Lord will do, and I'm just excited. I'm thankful to the Lord and how He writes stories. He does it so well. So
wow. So Simona, you're born in a Christian family, parents who are in, gospel work, God's work, they're missionaries, and a mom is American, dad is Indian, and you are five children.
Yeah, there's five
children. You're the eldest, right? So yeah, share your journey, of what it was growing up, in a house, parents who are dedicated to God's work, and they have. I mean, like mom and dad both. They're so powerful. They're so uniquely powerful. I mean, like if I look at them, even though they are couples and they are ministry, but mom has a different calling, and dad has a different calling, and they complement each other, and both of them in their individual call, they are like so amazing. But I mean, like, see, I'm from an outsider, I'm seeing them after they are all established, but you would have seen the journey, you would have seen them when they were just starting out, and parents were students yet, right, when they had you.
Yeah.
So you know the other side of the story. I mean, like I know all the when the building is all built up, we all can whoa, what a beautiful, magnificent building. Everybody can admire, but very few get to see the raw work. The bricks, the cement, the foundation. So what it was like growing up, with mom and dad.
So, I was born while they were still in their college. One of them was getting their bachelor's and one was getting their master's. They had me just a year after getting married, and they were so young, like 20, 25. And I really got to grow up with them, truly. And the year that I was born, the Lord gave them the call for their ministry, what the Lord wanted them to do, to come to India and to serve people. And
this was you were conceived in America.
Yeah.
Okay, so they got the call after you were delivered.
Yeah, so they always knew they wanted to do ministry, but I don't think they really knew. It didn't really take shape until around 1997, which is when I was born. And so they named me after that time in their life when the Lord was giving them, like they were hearing from the Lord, they were seeing, His vision. And so they named me Simona Darshini, which means one who hears and one who has vision. So and when I was 3 years old, we moved to India for full time. And it was such a sweet time. I remember being 5, and I had a lot of intentional time with especially my mom, because I was homeschooled for a while. She had me reading the Bible really young. She had me doing the syllabus and homeschool where, you hear a Bible story, then you have to repeat it, narrate it back, and then you have to write it out, and then you have to draw it. Wow. And so there's so many ways, visually, you can hear it, you can write it, you really learn the Bible well. So even as a young child, I was really familiar with a lot of the stories, and I still have those folders. I can look back and see, all my childhood art and understanding of the Bible at that young age. Wow. I was really grateful for that. And they raised me, while they were in college with all their college friends. They were in Bible college. So I didn't really realize that I was a child. There weren't any other children. It was only adults. So I became really familiar, able to talk to people and stuff. And then being in India, my grandparents as well, we were living with them, and they're also they were always, such fiery men and women of God, and, just being surrounded by people who are giving their life to Jesus, whatever it looks like, whether it's sharing the gospel, whether it's caring for the poor or the unseen people. Wow. Yeah, it was a wonderful experience. When I was 6 or 7, we would have these large meetings where there would be, thousands and thousands of people coming to worship together and to pray. And, I had my own personal experiences with the Lord, feeling like I was experiencing His presence and seeing, things that He was showing me and things, I was only 7 or 8. Wow. Yeah, when I was 7 or 8, actually, I felt like the Lord was telling me that He was going to heal my eyes, because I got glasses when I was 5. And my whole life I've kind of held on to it and prayed for healing. And actually I just got LASIK on Monday, and I'm seeing for the first time without glasses or contacts. And so I'm feeling the answer to that prayer.
What a time to say it.
I had no clue, that this is what it would look like, that it would be medical healing. But yeah, God in His wisdom, I was expecting it and waiting for it to happen, and it's here now. So wow. Yeah, so I got to see people healed, set free from oppression and darkness, in front of my eyes. And I think it really gave me a lot of faith. So even though, there's times in your life when you're choose to be far from God or choose to be close to God, I felt like I didn't have that existential crisis of, oh God, what if God doesn't exist? Because I had an experiential, time with Jesus, and then I got to see my parents serving and the way that they humbly laid down their life. Of course, they're not perfect. They don't know the perfect balance of ministry and family, and there's a lot of learning. They're only 20 something. They were just younger than I am now, so I don't judge them for that. But yeah, I got to see them really just exploring whatever God had for them and going for it. They never held back. So wow. Yeah, I think, I'm a blessed ministry kid. Honestly, I know many ministry kids who don't, have that same, but I feel like God has given me grace to see them as human beings who are doing their best to follow God, and I'm thankful for that.
That's beautiful. And I'm amazed, your husband, Josiah, you knew him from when you were 5 years. Yeah. Your family, he knew his family, your family knew him. And you had a moment, where you felt maybe he is my husband. So can you share your journey towards, finding your husband? That's really amazing.
It was a very early discovery. I was always kind of a romantic person. I think I read a lot of books when I was young, so I didn't have a lot of access to screens, TV, any of that. And so everything I did was read, and of course I read a lot of novels and love stories and things like that. So I always, wanted a family. I wanted, a husband. And when I was 11, I went to boarding school. It was an amazing school for missionary kids where there was so many opportunities for extracurricular things, and it was really solid biblically, and I got to grow so much. But I actually started boarding school the same year that my husband started boarding school, Josiah. We were in the same age group. Yeah, we were in 7th grade. So yeah, we were 11 and 12, I think. Okay. Yeah, and I remember the first time I spoke to him because, we were both Telugu, so I was so excited for another Telugu person. And, I actually had a dream, that we fell in love when I was 11 or 12, but I didn't even know what he looked like. I just knew that, he was going to be at the same school as me in the next week. I didn't even, know what he would look like, but I had a dream that I fell in love with Josiah. And then I thought back, like when I'm looking back at it, thinking I was probably just imagining because that's the only person I knew, But it could be prophetic, you never know. So yeah, then we became friends, after 2 years, after he became a little more warmed up to talking.
So this was like at 11 or 12, you go to boarding school, both of you. Then you take 2 years something to catch up because he's a little bit shy. So around 14, you start the relationship. You start friendship.
Yeah, we were in Hindi class together. We were in, like a design and tech class together. And we, every lunchtime, there'd be a group of guys playing basketball. And I love basketball, but I wasn't very good at it. But I've always loved it. And so I would go and I'd sit and I'd just watch them play. And then one of them finally invited me to come play with them. And so every lunchtime I would just play basketball, and it was just the best time. And Josiah was really good at basketball. And, we just started to become friends, tease each other. We're Telugu, we're talking Telugu, And towards the end of that year, end of 9th grade, beginning of 10th grade.
You started feeling comfortable with Josiah because you felt he had the same background.
Yeah.
Like, one parent is American and another parent is Indian, and so you felt that, so you had that among many different nationality of kids over there to find somebody who matched your background growing up.
Completely.
That kind of.
And he's a mission kid, his parents are missionaries as well, and children of missionaries, and yeah, so it was easy to communicate with him. I felt like he understood me. And yeah, pretty soon we started liking each other, and it was apparent pretty quickly that we would be really good together because our families already knew each other. We get along really well. We complement each other really well. He's like a more, interested in the sciences and math, and he's, he emphasizes like efficiency and logic and stuff. And, my degrees in sculpture and ceramics and arts. And so, we just have a back and forth. It doesn't mean that he's not creative or I'm not logical, but we kind of, bounce off of each other really well. So yeah, it was pretty quickly apparent that, we would be a good couple. And so yeah.
This was 17. At 17,
well, this was,
when you were both were 17.
This was when we were 15 that we
15.
first started liking each other.
Oh, wow.
And then we had some time in between where we weren't liking each other, because we weren't sure, what the future would look like. But when I was 17 is when I really realized I want this for my future. I want Josiah for my future. And I felt like the Lord really revealed just how ideal it could be to be married to him, because, I had an experience of watching him interact with my family, my young sibling who was just a baby, and how he, spoke to her.
2 years?
Yeah, she was just little. And how, they interacted
at this
really
point,
well.
you're 17.
Yeah.
Right? You both are 17, and Gianna is 2 years old.
Yeah. So, I was just watching how, he interacted with my family, and how, he would be a good father. He would be, He would be a good big brother to my siblings. And yeah, my family is very important to me. So I just wanted somebody who would understand the value of them. And he does. So yeah, then it just clicked for me, and since then it's been just.
So you got engaged just when you finished high school, right?
Yeah, it was the week of graduation, actually before we graduated technically. But yeah, I was probably the first in the history of the school. My principal was not happy, but.
So, and then you come out of the high school and you get married, right?
Yeah.
So, and you said that when you decided that you guys are going to be married, you wanted to take the time off, right? To prepare spiritually. So that's why you took 1 year off, right? After high school.
So we got engaged, and then immediately we basically decided to spend time individually with God before we, are married and, become one. So he did with Youth with a Mission. He did a discipleship training school, which is a 6-month program. He did that in Australia. And then I did like a 3-month internship at a house of prayer in the United States. And I did a night shift, spending a lot of time praying and reading the Bible. And it was really...
You did night shift as a work, or you did night shift for this house of prayer?
For the house of prayer. It was like a 24-hour house of prayer, and I just did the night shift in the prayer room. And yeah, I really matured quite a bit in just that little time, you know, in my faith, being on my own, without my family, without Joey, without, you know, Joey's Josiah. But and then he was in Australia. He really matured, and, you know, yeah, he's very responsible already, but in his faith, he became...
So you both come out of that, and then you chose to get married, right?
Yeah.
So you both were 19 years old when you got married?
Yeah, he was just 20 a month ago. But yeah, we got married, and then a month after we got married, we went to college together. So we started
you did
university.
Like after marriage, you went to universities. So he chose engineering, and you chose arts. So how was life as a married couple in the university?
Yeah, I mean, both of us come from missionary families, so neither of us, you know, had a lot of like financial support from our families, but we both were set up really well in terms of like internal like strength and the Lord, dependence on the Lord, and having each other. So we both worked pretty much full time and went to school full time.
So you paid for your college tuitions?
Yeah, so we would work so we could pay for our rent where we lived, and then also for the tuition for our college. We applied for scholarships, we applied for grants, we did everything that we could. We ended up with not that much debt by the grace of God. I honestly think that he sustained us through a lot of it, and it was an amazing experience of like being able to rely on one another. I think sometimes when you get married at different stages in life, you're kind of forcing two different paths together, and then, you know, but I feel like we just started our path together and just went off, and were able to support each other when the other one was weak, or one could work more if the other needed to study more, or back and forth, and just take turns cooking, take turns taking care of each other. It was a really sweet time, and just doing everything for the first time, you know, finding our own church and finding our own communities to serve, and, you know, it's a beautiful time in life.
Wow.
So,
Wow. It's so amazing. I mean, like, I am so amazed. You know, not only did you guys, you know, commit to each other during your school time, and stayed committed, chose to marry, and then you pursued your college education, being married. I mean, like, it's a whole new thing. And Dad said that at 19, like, you got married at 19, and you took time off to, you know, arrange some like work so that you can have some money for the wedding too. I mean, like, that really, I don't know, it really touched my heart that, you know, a young child understood so much, you know, the responsibility that you took as a child, both of you, and paved way, made way you desired, but also, you know, you worked towards your desire, and you took the steps. It's something I'm in wonder, like, I'm hearing you, but it's taking time to process. I mean, like, I can't imagine somebody so young doing all this. It's understood, you know, you have a job, like, you know, you finish your college, you landed in a proper job, and you have some money, and you're starting life. It's different, but, you know, you're working while you're building your life. And it's amazing how you do life. It's amazing how you both, you know, want to build stuff.
It's been a blessing for sure. And I think, like, the Lord has done all kinds of crazy miracles. Like, in our, you know, time, one time we were like a few dollars short of making our payment, so we were going to have to miss a whole semester. And then, you know, just somehow by the grace of God, we found some check, or somehow we found some coins, and we were able to pay. You know, God, we just prayed last minute, like, what are we going to do? You know, he would, and oh my gosh, so this is what happened. So I was, you know, missing the money that I needed to do the next semester of school, but I didn't want to get behind. And I had applied for the honors college because I wanted to do some more advanced classes. And I get an email, you know, the day that I'm supposed to pay for my classes, and it says, you know, you have a full scholarship because you applied for the honors college and you got in. And I didn't even know there was a scholarship. Wow. You know, like, I feel like the Lord just led me to, to apply for the honors college, and then that provided for my, that semester, that year, just things like that. Or we needed a vehicle, and somebody just, they were going to sell us a car, and then they met us, and I think the Lord just impressed upon them to just give us the car, just things like that where, and I think even in our time separately, when I was doing my internship, the Lord did this miracle where, he was trying to teach me to trust him about finances. So this time I was like praying about money, and somebody came up to me and, they laid hands on me, and it was in the middle of the winter, and I didn't have, all that I needed to keep warm. So they prayed for me, and they said, Lord, I just ask that you would show Simona your provision through the big things and the little things. So I asked that you would provide for her a winter coat. And I said to the Lord, in my heart, I said, I have a winter coat. It's great. Like, don't worry about that. You don't have to do that prayer request, And then, as if they read my mind, the person said, no, actually, even smaller, a hat and gloves. And I said to the Lord in my heart, I have a hat. I don't have a hat and gloves, so you can do that if you want. and then right after that, my husband's cousin, I bumped into him outside the church. So we weren't married yet, but it was, his cousin. And that cousin said, hey, would you like to go out for lunch? We're trying to get to know each other as families, So they take me to lunch, and he buys me Thai food, which is my, other favorite other than Indian, because it's the only spicy one. And then we're driving, back, and he's like, do you have a hat and gloves? And I didn't know what to say, because I didn't want to say, hey, somebody just pray, because I didn't want to make him feel like he had to buy me. I said, no, I don't. He said, well, we're going to go buy you some right now. Wow. So he took me to TJ Maxx and bought me a hat and gloves. And since that day, I feel like, I've never doubted that the Lord will provide. We work hard, we do what we can, and we face difficult circumstances. But, the Lord he cares about my cold ears and my cold fingers, and he will never leave me without what I need. So
wow, it's amazing. Thank you so much. I don't know, I'm just so engrossed in your journey that I'm taking time to process everything that you're saying. It's so amazing to see God loves us in such an intricate way, such a detailed way. It's almost like, I don't know, sometimes as parents or as spouses too, we may not know so much integrate. We might miss out, even though we love our spouse, we might miss out on their most intricate details, but God never misses out on that. And he makes sure that he shows us that we are seen by him. That he's aware, and he's touched by our needs, and he's not alien to our needs or feelings. And he's there, that's so beautiful. Thank you. You have anything to share to somebody? Anything that God puts in your heart?
Something recently happened to me. So my degree's in art, and I've been blessed to be also working in ministry for 6 years, and I'm really excited about it. But also, there's some creative parts of me that I want to make sure that I take care of, because I know that the Lord has gifted me and built me in that way, as well as given me a ministry heritage and calling. And so somebody was, telling me that, have you asked the Lord to dream with you? And I realized that I hadn't really asked the Lord to dream with me about my future, because, I viewed the Lord like a dutiful daughter. I love my father loves me. He tells me some things to do, and I do them out of love and duty. It's not out of obligation that I have to do it, but because I like to fulfill what God has asked me to do. But sometimes I forget that, he's the type of father who imagines your future, and, he connects with the delights that he's placed in your heart of what he wants you to be. And so, I was dreaming, I asked the Lord, can you dream with me about art? Can you dream with me? Because I hadn't been able to do that in a while. And within a few months, he had opened up an opportunity for me to go teach an art workshop in my exact, field of study that I did my undergraduate thesis in, in Thailand. And my immediate thought was, oh, there's no way I can pay for this. I have this opportunity. It's not paid. I have to buy all the equipment. I have to fly there. It's not possible, And the Lord, keeps bringing to my mind, he'll provide, and he's dreaming with me in this process. And so somebody, came into my life and we had a conversation, and they said, hey, I'd like to pay for you to fly to Thailand. And then I was able to fundraise for the rest of it. I went to Thailand, had an amazing experience teaching, 38 people some therapeutic art tools to deal with their like multicultural identity. And, that's what my thesis is on. It was so exciting, and got back the survey results, and they were just so positive. It really impacted them. And I didn't have any clue that, my work that I did for me personally could really impact other people. And yeah, just encourage you to ask the Lord to dream with you, because that's a new thing for me.
Wow. Wow. That's amazing. That's amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much, Simona. You're so young, but you have so much rich experience. Oh my God. I'm dumbfounded. I'm dumbfounded with your rich experience, with your rich heritage, with your rich calling. You really humble me. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I hope you're blessed by Simona's journey with Jesus, her encounters with Jesus. And thank you for staying with us and engaging with us in God's story. This is God's story, his love story, his love story in Simona's life.
Thank you. Thank you for doing what you do and telling people stories. I think it's beautiful, because the Bible is just a lot of stories of people's lives that God's impacted, and you're, making the Lord's glory known across the earth and how he moves in people's lives. And it's really important. It's really important work. So thank you.
Thank you. I hope you guys are blessed. A lot of tears. But I hope, God bless you for engaging with us. May you be touched by his presence in Simona's story. May God's presence be revealed to you as you listen to the story. May the story of hope, of provision, of desires being met, of dreaming with Jesus and Jesus dreaming with us be made known as you engage with our story, with Simona's story. Thank you. God bless you.
God bless.